All right, we're back, and life's been kind of interesting of late. Um, I was sharing with Adrian, it's like 8 degrees in Memphis right now, and the temps are falling. And Sunday and Monday, over the 24-hour period, we got like 6 inches of snow, which is quite a bit for Memphis. We've only got maybe 2 or 3 snow plows in this city of 500,000 people, so it's um, yeah. Fortunately, everyone still seems to have power, but I've kind of been in survival mode. Um, how are things where you're at?
The same. We've
Yeah.
had a ton of snow. Yesterday I was out snow plowing my driveway and a neighbor came over with a tractor and just like dug out my driveway with his tractor. I mean, he did in like 10 minutes what it would have taken me 4 hours to do. So,
It's a good neighbor. Yeah, I've spent at least 4 hours clearing snow off of my driveway and walkways, and um like the chicken coops were frozen, and I've had frozen eggs, which is just kind of sad. Um, but I've been putting food out for the little songbirds and stuff, and I think all the animals are safe and warm. But it's still been intense. So I guess the question for tonight, and we'll, first off is just like, what do you do? What are ways like when you have to like, because it's stressful. For me, it's stressful as a property owner, like worrying about pipes that might burst, or you know what I mean, the power going out and having to get the generator running and making sure you got gasoline or that the driveway's clear or whatever. Like, um, what are ways that you've found that are helpful to like transition from like survival? Because I mean, if we're honest, like we a lot of art and creation requires a kind of point of privilege, or a lot there's a leisure. These are like leisure time type things. Like they come out of a culture of leisure. So how do you transition from survival mode into writing mode? What are things that have worked for you?
um, well, mostly I just kind of gauge my wife's level of um, anxiety, I guess. Like there's a certain kind of threshold where once she reaches that, it's like time for me to go deal with things because I'm not going to get anything done until it's done, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I don't think that's the best method, but that's the one that I kind of mostly like follow.
I can relate to that. So you're pretty focused on the writing up until the point where the temperatures in the relationship start to rise, and you're like, okay, I'll go do this other thing, and then
Yeah,
yeah,
because at that point I can't do it anyway. Like I can be stubborn and just auger in and sit here in my room, but I'm not even doing anything anymore. I'm so
yeah,
upset about whatever is going on. I might as well just go deal with it
yeah,
so that I can like write again, you know?
yeah. A lot of I kind of guess I'm a little bit the reverse. Like I have to kind of watch myself, because if it's like survival mode, I don't know, maybe I'm a little bit of uh, a survivalist type. Like I'll start walking around with all of my tools and stuff and fixing things, and trying to, before I know, like the day's gone by and like I've spent all day outside doing stuff or whatever, and making sure the fire's going and stuff. um so I'm kind of on the other end. Like I'll be like,
Well,
okay, it's
my
time
solution to that problem is be completely incompetent at fixing things.
to yeah. I used to be able to do that. I'm not anymore. I've actually learned some stuff, regrettably. Um, so yeah, what I do now is like I try to keep, because what happens with when life is stressful, I tend to want to sleep in. Um, and particularly like if it's snow days and I know the kids are gonna be here anyways, and no one needs to get to school, I'll just be like, you know what, forget it, I'll sleep in. But I really have to kind of push my, like the first step is just push myself to wake up early, like 5 o'clock or so, or 6 o'clock, and just be up, and don't do the chores right off the bat, you know. Like at least get down and like do some writing if at all possible before the chores start, because the chores, when life is happening like that, the chores just never end. Like you're in the middle of, like I was in the middle of just trying to feed the animals this morning, and like it took me like 30 minutes just to get into the chicken coop because the snow was so high and I had to like clear out the snow, and then it's like, oh, I should try this out. No, I need to fix that. You know, there's just like this endless to-do list that starts to multiply in front of you, like while you're just trying to like get the chickens fed. Um, so at least try to wake up early, even though it feels so good to be in the bed when it's cold outside, like try to get out and and have some coffee and get started and write for as much as I can. Um, And this is one of those situations where it's really helpful to have the outline, because like for example, I was in the middle of writing when all of a sudden I got a text that there was like an emergency situation outside I needed to take care of. So I had to jump up and go take care of the emergency situation. But like when things finally settled down, even though my heart was kind of still going and I was anxious about the situation because it wasn't resolved, um, I forced myself to sit down and I was just like, okay, next outline point, you know? And it feels really militant to do it that way, but it's just like this book isn't gonna write itself, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
that's funny that you say that because I say that all the time. This book
yeah,
isn't gonna write itself.
I think I heard it from you. I think I heard it from you, and it's just like it's kind of the show must go on kind of thing. Like, just don't ever say never, you know, just keep doing it. So having that outline, and honestly for me, I get, it's weird, I know what motivates me, and I do feel motivated to like put my numbers up at NaNoWriMo. Even though the thing's over, I still post numbers up there, and I just find a satisfaction in posting my numbers for the day, putting them in the spreadsheet, you know.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
do. Whatever helps you do it, do it.
Yeah. Well, I want to transition a little bit because I feel like we hit on something pretty deep when we were talking about Ernest Becker, and to me it almost feels bigger than like the framework of this podcast or this whatever we're doing here. Um, because like in the discussion about death, there was just so many parts to that. I mean, it could be like a series of shows in itself. We just kind of chipped away at like the tip of it. Like we didn't even get through the full introduction of his book. And I'm not saying that like Ernest Becker's the end all be all. He's pretty great. But like it made me realize like in terms of the purpose of this, what we've been doing, even though well you've finished, I have not really finished my stated thing. You know what I mean? Like I've not finished the novel. I had wanted to kind of take that to, to fruition. I think it's possible we've satisfied the purpose of this NaNoWriMo, these talks. And it's possible the talks need to become something different. Um, so
Yeah.
but before we get into all of that, I want to hear like let's just recap a little bit. What, for you, what do you think was the purpose of this time together? Like what, having kind of like let's assume this is full arc. Like let's say maybe this is last episode for NaNoWriMo 2023 or whatever we want to call this. What would you say like was what one of the big takeaways or the purpose of it for you?
Um, I feel like it was a lot about letting things be imperfect and getting them done. Like, just do your work and don't worry about the outcomes. Don't worry
Hmm.
about how good it is or what it's going to be. It's just like, this is my work for the day, and my scope is that small. Just do your work for today. And there will be a time for worrying about those bigger things, but today is not that time. Today is, you know, write these 1,600 words.
Yeah.
And tomorrow is the next 1,600 words. And we're not going to worry about what does it mean? What am I doing? What is it that I'm making? Just do your daily work. I think I felt that a lot. I mean, I've done NaNoWriMo before, but it never quite hit me with that kind of just like make the world small and just do your work for today and let that be enough.
Yeah. I think when we started, for me, the the purposes of us sitting down together was just like I didn't think I'd be able to sustain the pace required for NaNoWriMo. And so I needed some kind of like moral support and like check-ins. You know what I mean? Like and there was also some good coaching in there and encouragements along the way. And I appreciated the comments, the kind of the community aspects of it were surprising and fun. It was great being able to hear from Joe and from Britt and from others that kind of posted comments. Although definitely props to Joe and Britt. I feel like they posted the most comments and encouragements. So that's where it was on the front end. Somewhere in the middle, it my perspective shifted and I got to thinking we were talking some about our kids and I got to thinking that like maybe in some future world um like our kids would be watching these videos just as a means to kind of understand us and understand our friendship and what it looks like to have, you know, a long-term friendship. Um, and and also just kind of to hear our thoughts on what we were doing all of those years that we were locked up away from them doing stuff, you know. Um, so and then I think so that was I think that was a significant part of its purpose too for me. Um, and then finally towards these last few episodes, as we started thinking about more spiritual things, I feel like something else kind of clarified for maybe for both of us that we've often thought about writing a book together on um, creativity or on the writing process. We're both fans of books like The Artist's Way and Writing Down the Bones. And as many bad books as there are out there about writing, there's a handful that I can think of that have been tremendously helpful to me. Um, and I think we're at a point where in our writing life where we would like to do something like that together. And so I think that's kind of, I think we've managed to clarify what that is. I don't think we necessarily knew, we had a sketch of what it was when we started this, but I think in the course of these conversations, I think we began to clarify it. Um, and so, yeah, that, that's kind of, I think with that purpose in mind, I think it's good for us to possibly transition away from this format and continue to have some kind of social media presence, but um, just maybe look at something more like a podcast or weekly kind of audio type thing that might be more conducive to the types of direction we want to go. And that doesn't have like the direct tie to NaNoWriMo as much as I love NaNoWriMo, but to kind of transition away from um, that thing. Um,
Yeah, I think that sounds good. We can do NaNoWriMo again if we want to. I mean,
Totally.
no, like, because I don't do it every year, but I do want to do it, every so often.
Yeah. I
So
definitely
we
want
can
to do it.
resurrect this and do NaNoWriMo whenever we want, but I do think it's kind of like a seasonal thing. And we
Yeah,
can go on and do other things, but to just be doing NaNoWriMo year round is laborsome.
agreed.
And a little dishonest because it's not act like by kind of the end of January, you're not NaNoWriMoing anymore. You're just back into your normal writing habit.
Yeah. I will say that I am writing at a much faster pace than I was prior to NaNoWriMo. That has been sustained. I'm not at NaNoWriMo levels, but I am, my pace has increased.
Yeah, good. I'm right back to normal. I'm
hmm.
writing like I'm writing 200 words a day. So
Yeah, it's I'm not saying it's easy, it's tiresome, and I cannot wait for this project to be over, but yeah, it's been manageable. And if I wake up early and get started, I can be done by like 9 or 10, you know.
I
Um,
do too on the weekend, like on a
yeah,
Saturday. On a
yeah,
Saturday, I'm done before Britt and Alexander even wake up.
yeah,
And like not 200 words, like 800 words.
yeah. So it is doable. Like you've indicated to yourself that you can do it. Yeah. So I think yeah, I think it served its purpose. So I mean, we'll wrap up. We'll say goodbye for tonight. But if you've been following us, thank you so much. It means a lot. We've enjoyed all the comments and everything. We'll continue to keep these videos up. I think they're a help to us as well. Um, Stay tuned. We will have more information about an upcoming podcast. We'll have, I mean, I think we're both thinking about something in the direction of spirituality and art, and so we'll have more details about what that might look like in the upcoming weeks, and we'll probably announce those here on this channel before we start working over there. But yeah, I guess that's it.
Yeah, I think that's good for now.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, have a good rest of your night.
Yeah, you too.